NOLA to try to find him when he was here. Obviously, they had a bit of a lead time in when that was reported to law enforcement partners and the press, and he was able to make good his escape for 5 months. But I think you may remember Brian Fair saying a number of times, Derrick Groves has to get lucky every single time, and law enforcement has to get lucky once. And that happened today, thank God.
And the fact that all of these
learned that Derrick Groves was likely in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Through information gathered via multiple search warrants and other investigative means, detectives obtained digital evidence that Derrick Groves was at a residence in Atlanta. Today, with the assistance of numerous law enforcement agencies, including the Atlanta Police Department and the U.S. Marshal Service.
All right, what's up with it, y'all? So look, man, I'm back again with another video right now. Listen, I told y'all I was gonna come back at y'all with an update with the whole Derrick Groves situation, and it's a crazy situation altogether. But ultimately, you know, we got more, you know, I guess bona fide facts about the situation. It's still all over the place, in my personal opinion. I feel like it's a lot of fabrications around the situation, but ultimately, we're gonna talk about what's out there. So basically, Derrick Groves was caught. They're alleging, some people are alleging online that he was caught because of an argument with a girlfriend or something like that, but we really just don't know that. You know what I'm saying? I heard somebody say that there was a news station that put that out there as well too. I don't say certain things unless I see it for myself, so we're not gonna roll with that. I'm just letting my people know who possibly could be believing what the hell they seeing online. When in all actuality here, most of the people that's rocking with me, we be on bona fide facts. We ain't trying to go off no hearsay unless it's, you know, somewhat of the truth that we can verify, right? But basically, he was tipped, you know, well, not he was tipped off. They were tipped off by people. The people helped them do this. I don't give a damn who say what or what is being said by the authorities or nothing like that. If it wasn't for the public, they would not have found him. Now, he did have a massive reward for finding him, and Crime Stoppers, they said that they were involved in this as well, meaning that their tips from somebody through the Crime Stoppers helped them. Now, if y'all don't know, people that be calling the police instead of the Crime Stoppers, they don't get their money. So you feel me? So they be just making blank calls, basically just turning the people in and shit like that and don't get nothing. But when you take the proper steps, you get your money. So they did the proper things. They knew better, right? Now, as far as his charges and stuff like that, they're saying that they're trying to enhance the charges to aggravated escape, I think, basically because he was found around or with drugs and weapons, and he was already in some shit behind some weapons and stuff like that, allegedly. Now, they are really, really finna make examples out of these people, in my personal opinion, right? Just for the simple fact that they got away for so long. They like to get these things situated so fast and nip it in the bud as quick as possible. So to kind of make a mockery out of them, they want some get back, trust me. So they're going to try their best to do what they got to do. Now, I have the press conference that I told y'all I was going to bring. It's multiple people, multiple branches and sectors and sections and whatever, however the hell you want to put it. They talking about the whole situation, right? And I just feel like, you know, the public is doing the officers' jobs these days. You know, online you figure out so much shit, they ain't even gotta do nothing, bro. You know, and I'm a big firm believer letting these people do their job. But you know, somebody out there, you know, that wants justice for them. So I'm not gonna just sit there and say free a person and this and that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Now I see a lot of people saying certain things about what he could have did, what he should have did, and all this other type of shit. And I understand where y'all coming from. A lot of people saying he didn't have resources. I simply just want to say, man, if you can be out for 5, almost 6 months, you got resources. It may not be the most resources, but you have resources. So don't try to put it like the man just was out here with nothing. He been maneuvering, he been living, he been surviving and shit like that. But to get out of the country, to get out of state and certain things, well, I can't say out of state because he was out of state, but y'all get where I'm coming from. To go to another continent, another, you know, different shit like that, it takes money. And you know, people were saying a lot of different things about a lot of stuff. You know, ultimately, we'll never know what we'll do in these type of situations. Me personally, I was stating that I would have thought he would have been far away. And I simply said I would have been caught because I would have been trying to get the hell up out of the damn country. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, you never know what you'll do if you were in this type of situation. And it's easy to say what you would and wouldn't do. You know, ultimately, he was caught. They finna, you know, try to give everybody that did this the most that they can give them to set an example. They already said that he was already supposed to be sentenced and things like that, but ultimately they didn't sentence him yet. But he is about to be, crucified. Basically, they finna try to show the world what they gonna do to your ass if you do stuff like this. But hey, look, I'm gonna let y'all watch the press conference. I'm gonna come at y'all later on with another video, most likely. Other than that, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this whole situation, and we're gonna talk about everything in the comment section. All right.
Can you talk a little bit about the arrest of Derrick Groves this morning or this afternoon, just a short while ago?
Sure, I can't get into the details on the ground because obviously I was not there, but we have confirmed that escaped inmate Derrick Groves was captured in Atlanta, Georgia, following a standoff in southwest Atlanta. After nearly 5 months on the run after escape from the Orleans Parish Justice Center on May 16th. I think across the board, whether you are a reporter or whether you are in law enforcement or whether you lived in the neighborhood where he wreaked havoc, or whether you were a witness who was brave enough to come forward and testify against him, everybody is sighing a collective sigh of relief, knowing that a person who was facing multiple life sentences is now in custody, and we look forward to holding him accountable for the crimes that he was already convicted of and the other crimes that he committed, Paul.
Can you talk about the partnerships that led to today's arrest?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, you've got the Atlanta Police Department heavily involved, working very closely with Brian Fair and the U.S. Marshal Service. The U.S. Marshal Service has just really gone above and beyond when we have multi-jurisdictional issues. There have been a number of cases in which they've weighed in quite heavily, working with the NOPD and all of our federal and state and local partners and Troop NOLA to try to find him when he was here. Obviously, they had a bit of a lead time in when that was reported to law enforcement partners and the press, and he was able to make good his escape for 5 months. But I think you may remember Brian Fair saying a number of times, Derrick Groves has to get lucky every single time, and law enforcement has to get lucky once. And that happened today, thank God.
And the fact that all of these inmates were recovered, were taken into custody without any injury, anyone shot, anybody hurt.
I think a lot of people were, let me speak for myself. I was deeply concerned that someone that had been convicted of a double homicide and was supposed to be in Angola would not go easily. I was afraid that there would be loss of life, whether it be civilian or law enforcement. And I don't think we thank Derrick Groves for that. I think we thank God for that, that he was taken into custody without injury.
DA, if you could, I know this is sort of the very beginning. I mean, Derrick Groves captured, that's one thing, but how did he get to Atlanta, and if he had any help along the way, that's something that investigators are going to be looking into.
Look, I'm not going to, I don't spend too much time on this because these folks are here to celebrate a monumental accomplishment for the city of New Orleans, just as this arrest was. Obviously, Chris, if you go to Atlanta later on today, you're going to have some help. Whether it's an Uber driver, whether it's getting some gas, whether it is catching a flight. He obviously had some help. And there will be a thorough investigation to any and everybody that helped him along the way in whatever parish and whatever county that assistance came.
Last question, what charging decisions do you have right now, Nick?
I don't want to address that at this point, Paul. It's a little too soon. But thank you all for being here today to focus on 31-1 Burgundy Street. We're standing here.
And so, do we have Derrick Groves?
Yeah, he's right here.
If you could come up, sir. I'm right here. Have a seat, if you don't mind. Good morning.
This one or the green one?
So, sir, I'm Judge Wolf. This is your extradition. I'm going to go over your rights so you can decide whether you want to waive extradition or not. You're wanted out of the state of Louisiana for aggravated escape. I'm going to explain to you first what happens if you decide to have an extradition hearing, then what will happen if you decide not to have one. So you have the right to an extradition hearing if you choose. You have the right to hire an attorney to prepare for and conduct that hearing. If that's your choice, I will postpone the hearing for a reasonable time, 60 to 90 days, for you to obtain counsel. The law does not give you the right to a public defender or appointed attorney for purposes of extradition. If you choose to have the hearing, I will reset your case 60 to 90 days to allow your attorney to prepare for the hearing. At the hearing, there will be three issues. Are you the person named in the warrant? Did the governor of Louisiana sign the warrant? And what you're charged with in Louisiana, is that a crime in that state? I cannot consider your guilt, innocence, the merits of the case, or evidence connected with the underlying case. If after the hearing I determine that the requesting state, Louisiana, has met its burden of showing those three things, then they would have approximately 15 business days to pick you up. If they don't, then you'd be brought back before me and I would consider releasing you. If after the hearing I were to find that Louisiana failed to prove those three things, then you would be released. You also have the right to waive or not have that extradition hearing if you choose. If you waive your hearing, then Louisiana has approximately 15 business days from today to come get you. If they don't, then you'd be brought back before me and I would consider releasing you. However, you may be held up to 30 days before being released. Regardless whether you're released in Georgia, you are subject to arrest again at any time as long as this Louisiana warrant remains active. So even if you are released, you may wish to consider returning to Louisiana to have the matter resolved. Also, the media is here. I want to let you know they filed the appropriate paperwork. It's called Rule 11, and that was signed by one of our judges, our chief judge, and so they are here as well. You also have the right to remain silent. So let me just ask, though, do you have any questions about your extradition rights? No. And do you want to challenge extradition, or do you want to return to Louisiana?
I want to return where I'm from.
You want to go back to Louisiana?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do find you freely, voluntarily, and knowingly are waiving your extradition rights. I'm going to sign the paperwork, and that's all we're going to do here today. Thank you, sir. Okay. And in terms of anybody who has an interest in the Groves matter, that's all we're going to do for today.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. Almost 5 months ago, most of us in this same room met to discuss 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. We all had one focus: to capture the 10 escapees. Collectively, federal, state, and local law enforcement worked together seamlessly to locate and arrest these fugitives. Together, we leveraged investigative tools, technology, and good old-fashioned police work. Although many weeks have gone by, our 10th fugitive, Groves, remained at large. Law enforcement never lost sight during the investigation and our responsibility to bring a violent criminal back to prison. In early October 2025, task force personnel learned that Derrick Groves was likely in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Through information gathered via multiple search warrants and other investigative means, detectives obtained digital evidence that Derrick Groves was at a residence in Atlanta. Today, with the assistance of numerous law enforcement agencies, including the Atlanta Police Department and the U.S. Marshal Service, search warrants were executed at a residence in southwest Atlanta where Derrick Groves was ultimately taken into custody. I want to personally thank the FBI, ATF, HSI, DEA, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, the Attorney General's Office, State Probation and Parole, our LSP troopers and investigators, the New Orleans Police Department, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, the St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office, the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, and the Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans for their unwavering support of public safety. Together, we are stronger, and today marks the culmination of nearly 5 months of investigative work. As you look to the screen, to my right, your left, you will see the 10 escapees from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. All have been returned to correctional facilities where they no longer pose a threat to the residents and visitors of Louisiana. Next, you'll hear from our State Attorney General, Liz Murrow.
Thank you, Colonel. Today is a good day. Today we were able to get the final escapee put back in jail to await further proceedings, and I'll walk you through what that's going to look like in just a minute. He has already been charged with one count of simple escape on June 30th, along with the other 9 defendants. He will be arraigned on those charges as soon as we get him back from Georgia. He will be taken to Angola, where we have continued to keep all of the other escapees at this time. Tomorrow, he'll see a magistrate judge in Georgia, where he will be able to waive extradition if he chooses to do so. If he doesn't choose to do so, then we will initiate extradition proceedings and eventually remove him back here to Louisiana, and the proceedings will continue. I think that there's some other folks here who could talk a little bit about some of the things that we located at the house at the time that he was arrested, taken back into custody. We do expect to examine whether we can upgrade the charges to aggravated escape in light of the material that they found, which included weapons and drugs. I want to walk you through just real quickly what his criminal history was. In 2019, he was convicted, he pled guilty on a DEA case involving guns and drugs. He was convicted in October 2024 on a 2018 double murder on Mardi Gras Day. That case involved 2 charges of second-degree murder and 2 charges of attempted second-degree murder. Jason Williams' office, I believe, handled all of that, all of those charges at the time. I think virtually the next day, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter for a different case. So he was awaiting sentencing for those matters, and he was scheduled for sentencing in December of 2024 when the judge at the time recused herself, and that triggered a number of proceedings to replace the judge in the case. For reasons that are still unclear, he still had not been sentenced up until May when he escaped. But I think the upshot of that is simply to remind you that this was a very dangerous individual. He is going to face jail time for a very, very long time, possibly, certainly life on the second-degree murders. Those he should have been sentenced to life in prison for because that's the mandatory jail time for that. So he will also get additional time. We expect he'll be prosecuted in Georgia and possibly by the feds. So he's got a lot of trouble and a lot of things to answer to both the state of Louisiana and the state of Georgia. And I'd also point out that this has been extraordinarily taxing. You see all the law enforcement agencies who are up here who have been working diligently to try and get him back into custody. It's been expensive. It has been very scary for a lot of people, for staff at the DA's office, for victims and witnesses who might have been involved in some of these cases that implicated Derrick Groves. So, you know, it's a very unsettling thing to have somebody out like this and not know where he is and when we're going to have him back in custody. So today is a very good day.
I would just like to echo what everyone said. It really is a great day that this was a peaceful resolve to this situation. Crime Stoppers was very proud and honored to be a part of this task force. What we saw an outpouring of support and concern and really just wanting to help by our community throughout this entire process. Thousands of tips were received through Crime Stoppers on the individuals who escaped. On Mr. Groves directly, several hundred have been received over this period for him with information. And what I do know, they were all vetted. So I want to thank the community for stepping forward, for sending the tips and the tip that came in regarding this particular location. But I also want to say something that y'all don't normally see in the public, is the people standing behind me. the task force members, the law enforcement agencies who are calling, believe me, I know, in the middle of the night when they got information that they wanted to know more about, working every hour for all of these months. And I'm just so impressed. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart as a nonprofit organization representing civilians. But I hope the public takes the opportunity to thank everyone standing here and their teams for the excellent job that they did. Thank you.
Chief Kirkpatrick.
All right. Thank you, Darlene. I want to share with you a little bit of a background. Last Friday, Director Reese Harper, our PIO that everybody knows over there, we had started an initiative, and we decided that on Fridays we were going to start putting out kind of like our most wanted on Fridays. And a clever name came up by Director Harper, and we call it Front Burner Fridays. So last Friday, Director Harper says to me in the hallway, I think we need to put Grove's name back out in front of the community. And I said, well, great, I think so too. And he grabbed Darlene, Cassandra, and they did their Friday, Front Burner Friday, and put Grove's name out. And it was over this weekend that we did get a tip through Crime Stoppers. So, y'all, Crime Stoppers matters, but most importantly, the community is a true partner to us. So when we speak about team, that includes the community. So we want to thank you very much and appreciate it.
Yes. D.A. Williams.
On behalf of two prosecutors who tried this case with me, we tried it multiple times to get a conviction. On behalf of them, who worked tirelessly to get 12 out of 12 jurors to find him guilty as charged of a double homicide on Mardi Gras. On behalf of the witnesses who were brave enough to come forward. On behalf of the next of kin who still lived in the lower Ninth Ward during all those trials, I just want to say thank you to all of the law enforcement people who stayed on mission, who continued to work together. I know a lot of people in the public thought folks had given up. They thought this was over. But these men and women continued to work together. They stayed on mission, and they delivered for the people of this community. As I said, I tried this case personally. I was in that courtroom, so I was able to get to know the next of kin. And I just want you to all to understand that the children in this family who played sports in that park in the lower Ninth Ward have not been able to go out there during all of this time. Their lives have been shut down out of fear because they didn't know where this man was. And the men and women of these different agencies have given them their lives back. And that is extraordinary. And I was talking to the next of kin a few weeks ago, and she was still trembling. And so I know that today there's a lot of gratitude in that family home that was shot up on that Mardi Gras day. And I also want to just say to the public, thank you. It was your tips. You are one of the most important pieces of this puzzle because you step up when you call in, when you provide that tip, when you show up in court. That's what makes this happen. So I can't thank the public enough for doing its part and making sure that New Orleans is a safer place. And I want to thank God because the fact that someone did not get hurt during this man's time on the lam, and the fact that no law enforcement individuals were injured or hurt, that's just the grace of God. Thank you.
Sheriff Hudson.
Thank you, Colonel. I'm not going to rename all of the agencies that helped here, but they're here up here at this dais, and I'm grateful for them. That's my word for today, just grateful. Thankful for all this help we got. Grateful that they're all back in custody. We look forward to him being sentenced and moving on to prison where he belongs. But again, want to just thank all of our partners and agencies for sharing information, making sure this could happen, and we can all move forward with our lives. I know that the grass is a little greener, the sky a little bluer for everybody today. Thank you.
Okay, this concludes our press conference.